Hi everybody, it's Sarah Cray with Let's Make Art, and we like to watercolor. We do a new project every single week. We break it down step by step so you can join in on the fun no matter where you are on your watercolor journey. Today we are doing this project. I called it Sunset Power Lines. I probably could have called it something better.
I feel like it's
exactly
what it is.
It's exactly what it is.
Why name it anything else?
So we are using 4 colors for this project. So our very first color that we are using is berry blue. The second color that we are using is pink. The third color we are using is deep yellow. And the last color we are using is tiger orange. Are tiger orange and deep yellow very similar? Yes. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. We are using 2 paintbrushes, a round 6 and a round 2. Those are our go-to brushes. Also, I have a wash here, a 3/4 inch wash. We also sell these on our website. I just want to show you how sometimes having a wash brush is super helpful. So I painted the project using the round 6 and the round 2. So if that's what you have the correct supplies. But I'm also going to show you how you can use a wash in this project. And we are using painter's tape. Excuse me. So grab some painter's tape if you want to section them off like we have here in this project. See how they're in sections?
Yes.
So the steps for this project, very first step, we're going to tape it off. The second step, we're going to do the color transitions in each square. The third step, we are going to put in the telephone poles, and the fourth step, we're going to do our birds. So, oh, my blue ran into my pink. That's okay.
It's meant to be. Boy, girl, girl, boy, blue, pink, pink, blue.
Pink, blue. It's also known as purple if they mix together.
I think I would have known that.
You're like, that doesn't sound right. Okay, so for the tape, I'm just going to tape, just to get a clean edge, I'm actually going to tape around the entire edge and then section it off in between. Now for your sectioning off in between, first of all, you don't have to do this if you don't like it. There's nothing wrong with being like, nah, that's not really for me. Nothing wrong with that. But I actually just wanted to show you that because by kind of sectioning your composition off and your painting off, you can do a lot of really fun things, like maybe you do different seasons, or maybe it's different, like maybe one is a sunset and one is during the day and one is a sunrise, and it still has the telephone where they connect. So it's kind of really fun to play with things like that, where you section some of the painting off and it's still connected through like the telephone poles and the wires and the birds, but the background colors could be totally different. Or it could be like, I don't know, there's so many options.
I like the idea of doing like a sunset on the left and then it fades to winter solstice, we'll call it.
Yeah, what's winter solstice?
I have no idea.
Great.
It's just a word that came to my head and
Great.
I decided to use it.
It's the perfect word then.
Thank you.
Now I'm just using regular blue painter's tape. You can also use washi tape. Washi tape is really great. Make sure you press down on the tape to make sure that it, you know, because you can get little bubbles along the edge. Okay, so now for our sections, I'm just going to separate it into 3. Are they perfectly equal? No. Am I mad about that? No, I'm not. And if you want to make them 3 perfectly even things, you absolutely have the right to do that.
For your information,
Yeah.
winter solstice, the word solstice means either of the 2 times in the year, the summer solstice and the winter solstice, when the sun reaches its highest or lowest point in the sky at noon, marked by the longest and shortest days. So how did that word pop into my head? I do not know, but it works perfectly.
It does. Good job, Keenan. Okay. That's it. This is our composition. Again, I'm giving you permission to do whatever the heck you want. So if you'd want to do something different than this, that's okay. Okay, now we're going to move on to color transitions. So I'm going to pour some fresh color since mine mixed. And the reason why mine mixed is because I poured way too much. I have this much paint you guys don't need. Do you want me to show you how much paint you actually need? You probably actually need like that much paint. Can they see that? Because these are concentrated, they last a very long time, and you can always pour more. I just get really excited that I'm just like, let's pour.
It's easy when you squeeze the bottle.
It is. It's like, let's just pour all that paint. And then I'm like, calm down.
That should be an event. Pour all the paint. Let's make art sponsored.
Oh my gosh. That would be so fun.
I don't know what it would consist of, but
we should get like a big watercolor canvas and just be like,
boom, pour all the paint.
Pour all the paint.
Let's make art.
Hashtag pour
You
all
heard
the
it
paint.
here first.
It's gonna happen. Okay, sorry, let's get back to our painting here. Okay, that was step one. We're gonna move on to step two. So, you wanna make sure you have clean water for this, which is why I have 2 cups here. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna start off getting my brush wet. I'm gonna show you how to use a wash. So a wash is similar to any other paintbrush with watercolor where you want to get it wet first, but it's really great because it covers a large amount of space very quickly, okay? So I'm going to get the top third wet, and then I'm going to grab my berry blue, and I'm going to put berry blue in at the top. Now I can either like just pull this down and let that drip down, or I can help it. So I'm going to swipe off the extra paint because I want it to get lighter as I go. So I'm going to swish, 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 swish. And you see how it's getting lighter? Yep. So we want it to be darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. If you have to do a couple like goes to get it nice and dark at the top, nothing wrong with that. Okay? And then I'm going to just use water. Ooh, uh-oh. You got to make sure your brush is clean, and I didn't, so it left a lot of color, but that's okay. I'll just put it back in my transition. Swoosh, 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 okay? And now I'm ready to start introducing pink, okay? So I'm gonna leave a little bit of space between where the blue ended and where I'm gonna put my pink. So I'm gonna put in my pink. This is where I want my pink color to be pure. And then as I transition up, it's gonna start going in with the blue a little bit. But I don't want to start here at the top and keep moving it down because then that will hurt my pure pink. Does that make sense? It won't hurt it, it will contaminate it. Yes. Because that blue color will just keep on going. Okay, and then I'm going to use some water to fade the pink out, okay? And then I'm going to switch to orange. So on my orange, I'm going to start at the bottom here, like where my light pink ended. This is where it's pure orange. Wipe off my brush, transition the orange up to my pink, but not all the way because I want some pure pink in there. Okay, and then I add water to the bottom part of the orange. And now I introduce the yellow. But you want to be careful not to move the colors all the way up and all the way down because especially the blue and the yellow and the orange will mix together and create not the colors we want. And again, if you want to do like another swoop of color, you absolutely can. To darken it if you want more of an intense color. Okay, that's our first section, and we're just going to repeat that for the next two. And I'm going to try not wetting the area first just to see what that does.
Nice.
Okay. Because I'm a firm believer that there are multiple ways to approach a painting, and whatever way you want to do, it's not wrong.
Yeah, 1,000 ways to skin a cat.
More than one way to skin a cat.
Is there?
Yeah, not like, they don't have a number.
There's 1,224.
Okay, so I'm just going to start with the blue on my paintbrush at the top. I'm going to do a swoop at the top, 1 or 2. Now I'm going to rinse my brush because I want it to fade out. So I'm just using water to spread this. Okay, and I'm still going to use water. Now I'm ready for my pink. Right underneath the wet part is where my pink is going to be pure. And then it transitions up into the blue. And then down a little bit. I'm going to do another layer right there. And if you want it really dark and it's just so wet that it's not staying dark like you want it to, you can wait for it to dry a little bit, like I did on this first one when I came back and put in the pink after a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my orange. Here's my pure orange. Rinse that off so it's not too strong. Have that transition up into the pink, but not all the way because we want some of that pink to stay pure. Then you transition down using just water, and then you grab your yellow. And you can see, can they see my paper towel?
Yes.
You can see how much I'm using my paper towel to get rid of the excess color. Because I think with color transitions, what you have to keep in mind is in one area the color is going to stay strong, but the rest it needs to fade out in order to allow the layering for the other color to happen. And if the one color is too strong, when you layer the other color, it just won't be as smooth as a transition. And of course, you might get some blooms in here. I like blooms, so I don't care. And I'm actually going to do another, it dried for a second, I'm going to do a little bit more pink to like darken, get that nice and strong right there.
It's also why we like our Canson paper too, right? Because it helps our blooms.
Yeah, Canson paper, it does create blooms easier than other papers, which is great to know if you like blooms, and also great to know if you don't like blooms, because then you know that you should maybe just use a different paper. Okay, and we are going to keep going onto our big part. Okay, so if you're looking, I guess there wasn't a huge difference between if you started off with water first and then put in the paint, or if you just went straight paint to paper. But I don't know, I like putting water down first. Maybe because I just like the wet on wet and I get it just for a second at the top before I blend it out. My hair rubber band just broke. Well, darn. I mean, it might
have an extra one.
Me neither. My hair is just going to be down now, and that's fine. Okay. And I'm going to keep moving this color down, mostly using just water. I know that my water kind of turned green here, but I think it's still okay to use. I'm going to really darken up top. Okay, rinse, get some pink, and then the pink transitions up into the blue, and then it starts to transition down. Then I'm going to grab my orange, rinse to get rid of the excess orange, transition the orange back up into the pink, And then transition the orange down, and then grab some yellow. Oh, I kind of like how blended this pink is.
I do too. It's really soft.
It's so soft. I'm gonna leave that. Does it match my other two? No. Do I care? No. Because I just love how soft and pretty it is. And actually, I'm gonna try and take away a little bit of this blue at the top and soften the blue. So just with the damp brush, I'm lifting the color up and trying to soften those lines. Oh, that is so nice. Okay, that's it for step 2 for our color transitions. We gotta wait for this to dry, and then we'll put in our telephone poles. Okay, so for our telephone poles, we just want them to be a darker color than what we have here. So I just mix all the colors together to get a darker color. Now, if you know our color chart, if it's looking too much of one color, you can use the complement to tone it down. So if this is looking too green, add some pink in there and some of the blue. And it's going to turn it like this kind of muddy purpley color, which I think will work great. And maybe if you want your telephone poles just to be blue, you can. You guys can choose this. This is your choice. We also have, if you're a subscriber, you have 2 other colors in your kit if you want to use those colors. The freedom is yours, is what I'm saying. Okay.
Creative freedom.
Creative freedom. So I'm going to do my telephone pole, and it's always scary doing this part. But you guys can do it. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever, I'm just gonna put in a line. So I'm gonna use my round 6. If you wanna use your round 2, you're welcome to. I'm just going to do, it's just gonna be a horizontal line going straight up in this first section. And you're gonna take a deep breath, horizontal hold, keep your wrists lifted so you can make the line as long as you need. Or if you can rest your wrist, just don't put all your weight on your wrist. If you put all your weight on your wrist, you are very limited in how long your line can be. If you use your arm to pull, or if you need to like do a horizontal straight line and that's easier for you, turn your paper. Do what you need to do to make this line, okay? I'm gonna kind of keep it.
Can you push that up? Oh, wait, you might be just perfect. There you go, perfect.
Good. Okay, I'm just gonna do my line. I'm gonna go like 2/3 of the way up, okay? And then I'm gonna straighten my paper because if you curve your paper, you're not able to tell if the line is straight until you put it back at the correct orientation. And then from there, you can decide if you like need to straighten it out a little bit. So I'm gonna thicken it. So I'm just gonna press a little bit harder with my round 6. Okay. It might be a little bit wobbly, but that's okay. I'm actually going to darken one of the sides, the left side, just a little bit, just to give a hint of dimension or form.
I've seen twisted telephone poles like that before, so you're good.
Oh yeah, because sometimes they're just like, the old school ones are just made out of wood.
Well, most of them here are. There's very few steel telephone poles in this area.
I forgot where I lived.
We're very rural.
I was thinking of California. Okay.
That's cool.
I'm going to square off the top. Okay, so there's my first telephone pole. Yep, and I feel pretty good about that height. You can always make yours taller, so don't stress about that. And then I'm going to put my vertical line in. So the vertical line is going to go near the top. And again, I'm just going to use my round 6.
Can you use less hand there?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Put it more near the top like so. Okay, and now I need to see, okay, now that I straighten my paper, I'm like, that's not straight at all. But that's okay, I'll just thicken the line and make up the difference. It seems to be lower on the left and higher on the right, correct?
Yes.
So then when I thicken it, I'm going to thicken the top part on this and go kind of more towards the bottom part on that side. Square it off. Okay. And then they have those little pieces on them.
They're insulators.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay, they have insulators on them. And I'm just going to do a few hash marks. Like, okay. So, there's our first telephone pole, okay? Now we're going to put it in our second telephone pole. So, same thing. This one I'm going to have a little bit taller, okay? So my telephone pole on the right-hand side, it's going to be taller, and I'm just going to go for it because this is really scary and I don't want to overthink it. And I'm just going to do my round 6 and a vertical hold and just straight up. Okay, and then you assess. Okay, well, that's pretty straight. I'm just going to thicken it a bit. Okay, and then I'm going to do my horizontal. I'm telling you, I'm smelling something. I feel like I'm going to pull open a drawer and there's like going to be like a burger in there or something. And if you want to darken one side, you can. Okay. Then I'm going to do my horizontal. Can they still see?
Yes.
Okay. So just, and I'm going to do the horizontal close to the top of the pole. Okay. And the left side's a little bit longer. That's okay. Try and even it out and then thicken it. Okay, and then I do my insulators. Is that what they are?
Yep. My mom and actually I think Jenny Doan used to collect them.
Insulators?
Yeah, because they were glass and they were like a pretty jade green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We're almost done with step 3, and this is the part that you might want to practice doing your thin lines on before. So, I want you to grab your round 2. And when you do thin lines, I really want you to practice grabbing the paint, smushing your brush back and forth so it gets to a point, holding your brush on the tip, and then just try and do long, curved, thin lines. I'm moving my whole arm, I'm moving my whole shoulder, I'm not planting my wrist. If I plant my wrist, this is as far as I can go. So by not putting the weight on your wrist, you can go as long as you need, and with this particular painting, we need to go fairly long, like so. So just kind of practice that. And you'll see that like, sometimes I skip when you're doing thin lines. I never let that bother me. Even in the reference photo, you can see that there are areas where my line skipped. I did not go back and correct them because trying to go back and correct a skipped line and making it seem smooth is really hard to do. It brings more attention than the fact that it was even skipped anyway, so I just let those go. Okay.
Makes it look thicker.
It does. It makes the area look thicker. So now to do this part, I want the like strings, the wire to go from this first one to this first one, okay? Is that how it actually is in person? I don't know. Yeah? Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to, if you need to do a couple practice rounds with not touching your paintbrush so you can get the feel, up to you. If you want to make yours nice and curved and come back up, you absolutely can do that. But I'm just going to go for it. So I'm going to start on my curved line on this first one, and I want it to meet up with my next pull on the first one, so I'm just going to okay, there's one. And I think it might be easier if I turn my paper in that way I can see. My hand was kind of blocking off my view of the second pull, which made it hard to know the angle of my loop. So I think I'm actually going to turn it this way to do it so I can see. So then my second one is going to meet up with my second one. Close enough. And then my third one. Okay. And then the last one. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing on the sides and pretend like the wires keep looping on to other telephone poles. So I'm going to have one leaving from my first one, okay? One leaving from my second one, my third one, and my fourth one. And the same thing on this side. We have one coming here, we have one coming here. Okay. And I have some gaps here. The unfortunate thing is I slipped in one spot on top of the other, but we still have to put in our birds. Perfect place to put in some birds and cover up that hole. So now we're moving on to step 4. We're going to do our birds. Now for your bird silhouettes, you just have to think of like the different angles that birds will sit on things. For example, if it's at an angle, you would see their body and you would probably see their tail and maybe their head, okay? If they're straight back to you, you would probably only see this. On the other side, body, head, maybe their tail. So there's a bunch of different silhouettes that you would have, and none of them are going to be wrong. So don't stress about those kinds of things and just start putting them in. So I'm just going to do, I'm going to have some facing this way. So I'm going to do head, body, tail. And maybe one is more straight. And another one. Okay, and let's do a couple over here. Maybe one just off the side. You guys can decide where you want your birds. It's totally up to you. And then we can do one flying, if you want.
Will you do another flying one in the first section?
This one?
Yes, please.
Yep. Okay. And that's it. And now we're going to remove our tape. Okay?
Very satisfying.
It is very satisfying. So, I think this was the first one. When you remove your tape, you want to do a little bit at a time and pull away. So I'm going to start with the side that's closest to where my painting is and pull away from there. And you want to work slow and carefully so you don't rip the paper, because even with painter's tape, it could possibly rip the paper. Now on this one, since you have paint on both sides, I'm just going to kind of go down slowly. Now again, you want to make sure that your background is completely dry before you do this. If it's wet and you lift the tape up, then the paint will then bleed into the clean areas. Okay, and then we'll do my top one. A little at a time, pulling away from my painting.
Wrestle with the paper.
Yep. It's just going away from me. Okay, and then the bottom. Oh yeah. And that's it. You guys, we did it. Good job. I can't wait to see how yours turns out, and I'm sure a lot of you are just gonna have so much fun with different creative ways that you can communicate this, especially with the different sections we have going on. So if you painted this with us, tag us in it. Instagram, we are Let's Go Make Art is our tag. So you do @Let'sGoMakeArt or hashtag Let's Make Art. We have a wonderful Facebook community called Let's Make Art Watercolor. It's separate from our business page. You do have to request to join it. It's a private group. However, very supportive, very friendly, and a great way to see how other people are painting the same projects and also what they're doing with their personal work. So a lot of fun to look at that. If you need any of these supplies, including the paints, the brushes, you can get this entire kit for $15. Or just one-offs of whatever you need at letsmakeart.com. That's it. Bye.